So, have you tried changing your diet, maybe even taking supplements, but you still don't feel good? Maybe you're having symptoms like anxiety, weight loss resistance, where you've tried diet or exercise and it's still not working. Maybe you're having hormone issues, which you have to go to the doctor and possibly take hormones for things like thyroid, testosterone, stuff like that. Or maybe overall you're having brain fog, you can't think clear enough, you can't recall things. These are all signs of cellular toxicity. And I'm going to share with you on this training exactly what is happening in your body, what may have been the culprit of your problems, and how you can ultimately solve this in a step-by-step process. But before we get into that, my name's Nicholas Vidal, the Functional Health Detective. I've been working with clients since 2017 as a certified detox specialist and also as a functional nutrition coach. And I've worked with lots of clients over the years, but this one training I'm about to share with you is at the root of most chronic health issues today. And that issue is toxins. I'm going to explain exactly why this is, how they got there in the first place, and how we can actually solve this. But first off, I want to sort of show you a bucket here. So if you can imagine this bucket, right? We're going to call this your stress bucket. And now we have three types of stress, right? So we're going to put a couple lines here. So we have three types of stress in the stress bucket, right? We have emotional stress, we have physical stress, and we have chemical stress. And what happens is over time, this bucket will start to literally overflow. That is where the problem comes into play. Now, everyone deals with stress on a daily basis, right? Emotional stress can be things like in regards to your relationship, maybe personal issues, stuff like that, maybe childhood traumas. Those are all emotional stresses. This is not the best training to solve those problems. However, how I can help you is to solve the physical and the chemical stresses that you may be facing. And so a physical stress is things like exercise. So yeah, technically exercise is very healthy. However, it's still a stress on the body. So is any type of injury, right? If you're having shoulder pain, knee pain, ankle pain, low back pain, these are all physical stresses on the body. The third most important part here, and that's the entire premise of where a lot of the issues may be coming, is actually chemical stress. And when we say chemicals, we're not just talking about chemicals that you may find in a factory. We're talking about chemicals that are all around the world that you're living in. We have environmental toxins. If you've been in construction or you've done renovations in your home, any paint before around 1980 or so, or 1985, had things like lead in there, so you may have lead exposure. If you're cooking in things like Teflon or aluminum pans, or you use aluminum foil or aluminum trays, you may have heavy metal issues like aluminum. If you have mercury fillings or amalgam fillings, that can increase the mercury load on your body, along with if you've received vaccinations. Vaccinations have thimerosal, which is a form of mercury. And so these things can start to come all over. So those are heavy metals in particular. But you also have other chemicals. You have things like mycotoxins. What mycotoxins are is, if you have heard of candida and parasites and any type of gut dysbiosis or pathogenic bacteria, that can actually be in your system as well. Those become a problem because they release something called acetaldehyde. That's basically giving yourself an alcohol IV drip 24/7, and that is probably why you do not feel well. And so we need to look at things like heavy metals. We need to look at the chemicals, the environmental toxins, right? So you have the metals, you have, bear with me, the handwriting's not the best on this thing, but you have metals, you have toxins, you have candida, you have parasites, because toxins are also coming from other places. They could be coming from your soap, your shampoo, lotions and things that you put on your skin, colognes, perfumes. Even if you wear too many things like spandex or polyester, stuff like that, lots of toxins in there, right? So there's toxins in our environment all over the place. But this becomes a problem because they don't just disappear. And you may know that firsthand because maybe you're one of the people that have already tried to do things in regard to your health, right? Maybe you've tried to change your diet. I've worked with a lot of people in regard to functional nutrition. And so a lot of the clients I've worked with have already tried something like a paleo diet and didn't get resolution. They've even tried to take it a step further and done an autoimmune paleo diet, which is very restrictive, and still have no resolution. And these people are dealing with histamine intolerance, they're dealing with food sensitivities, they're dealing with skin issues, they're dealing with severe joint pain, they can't sleep at night, they have anxiety. There's tons of issues that I have dealt with over the years. And it all really comes down to this one factor. So if you bear with me, this is your cell. You have over 70, I believe it's almost maybe in the trillions. You have a ton of these cells in your body. And so if we remember back to biology class, the cell is literally the epicenter of your entire body's health, right? Your energy, your health, how your body processes nutrients, how you absorb things. Basically, if without your cells, you wouldn't even exist. Your cells is what makes the building blocks of your body. But the health of your cell is everything. And so inside your cell, you're going to have things like mitochondria. And you don't need to remember that word. But basically, the mighty mitochondria is going to help your body produce something called ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate. That is typically the chemical that gives you energy. And so that is one factor. The other factor is over time, you get other things that should not belong in there, right? So these are all toxins. These may be heavy metals. These may be bacteria. These may be other things that may be occurring within your cell. The other big part of the problem here is you have your hormone receptors are on your cell as well. So things like for insulin, thyroid, testosterone, cortisol, melatonin, your sleep hormone. And so these are all the receptors of where your hormones need to get to. Now, you could imagine if this is your cell, and these are the receptors, and this is your cell membrane. If this membrane is toxified up because of toxins, because of chemicals, because of other things in the environment, what is happening is now you have a twofold problem. Because you have good things like vitamins and minerals and things that have to get in there, and you have the bad stuff like the heavy metals, the toxins that need to come out. But as you could clearly see, if the membrane of the cell is inflamed and there's a lot of toxicity going on, the best analogy to use is, let's say you go into your garage door is closed, but you turn your car on. That's not so safe, because within a few minutes of being in there, that entire garage is going to fill with toxins and pollution. And it's not until you open the garage door correctly that we're able to clean everything out. And this is the very cause of why you may have changed your diet, but you still do not feel 100%. This is exactly why. Because let's say you've changed your diet. Let's say today is the day you've changed your diet. That's great. You're starting to eat organic. You're starting to eat grass-fed. You're watching for chemicals coming in. However, you have to account for all the previous damage of the years you were not eating fully organic, of the years you were not eating fully grass-fed, of the years you were not really having clean hygiene products and stuff come in. And your body is very smart. It's actually too smart. It will take some of these toxins and it will store them away into fat tissue. It's almost like sweeping dirt onto the carpet. Technically, your house may look clean when company comes over. However, if you swept the dirt onto the carpet, when you go to do a deeper cleaning, some of this dirt and this residual comes back out. This is also the reason why when people go to detox the conventional way, they feel 10 times worse. It's called a hex reaction, and it's because you're not doing it properly. And so, yeah, things like green juice or spirulina or chlorella, they can be effective, they can help, but that's not going to solve this issue. You need a very specific step-by-step process in order to go about doing this, and that really comes down to a 5R approach. And technically what a 5R approach is we have to first remove the toxins, right? We have to remove the source of the toxins. So you have the toxins that are in conventional meat and produce. You have toxins that are in processed foods. You have any types of dyes and artificial flavorings, colors, things like that, stabilizers. These are all coming through food. When you're putting products on your body, right? Most conventional shampoo and soap and deodorant is loaded with chemicals. Just take a look at the back. If you don't believe me, take a look at the back of the label. And if there are things on there that you do not know what they are, more than likely they should not be entering your body. And so step one, we have to stop the toxins from coming into the body. The other part of the equation here is, let's say you have issues with mold. If you still have mold in your apartment or your home, you're still going to have the symptoms that come along with mold toxicity. So it's not until you completely renovate and remove the mold that you're going to be able to start to feel better. And this is why so many of these health issues can be linked to this very solution here, because you will not feel well until you fix the cell, and you need to do this properly. So step one, yes, we need to remove the source of the toxins that are coming in. In step two, we have to actually come in here and start to clean some of the cell membrane, right? So we have to come in and we have to get rid of this inflammation that's here. These are toxins. We have to get rid of those. And then in turn, what's going to happen is now your cell wall, your cell membrane is a lot better. This membrane is dictated by the quality of fats that you eat. So if you're eating fried food, if you're eating things like canola oil and soybean oil, that is what this layer is made of. Very toxic fat. And that's probably why you don't feel good. Basically, your cells are sludged up. They're clogged up. And so you have to be able to reduce the inflammation on the cell membrane. But that's not only what it is. Because not only do we need to change the quality of the fats that are coming in to start to help the membrane to heal, we then need to up the cell energy. So we have to help support this ATP as best as possible. And you need specific nutrients in order to do that correctly. We have to stimulate the cell so it can start firing better. So we're cleaning the cell, we're removing the toxins, we're cleaning the wall of the cell. And now that we're able to clean the wall, we have to clean the wall before we get in there. Once we're able to clean the wall, then we can get into the cell. And from there, now we're going to upregulate your cell energy. As we get the cell energy, the mitochondria, that's the powerhouse of your cell. As we get that to function correctly, we're now going to be able to reduce cellular inflammation. And what that means is all of these things that should not be here are going to be able to be cleaned, because your cells are smart. They want to clean house on their own. We just have to help support the process as best as possible. In functional medicine, the body naturally wants to be in a state of balance. We call it homeostasis. Our job is to figure out what's getting in the way of that and remove it. And so we clearly know that toxins and chemicals get in the way of the body healing itself. And so we have to remove this correctly. And so as you upgrade your cell energy, as we reduce the cell inflammation, the next most important part, and probably the missing factor for most people across the board, is methylation. You may have heard this before, MTFHR. I have this gene mutation. You can have this tested through DNA. You can have this tested through a blood test if you wanted to be sure. But I would tell you that about 70% of the population has issues in regard to methylation. Methylation impacts how your body absorbs vitamins and minerals. Methylation impacts how your body uses energy. Methylation also helps in regard to cognition and clarity and focus. And so if you're lacking proper methylation, you're going to have brain fog, anxiety, your thinking is not going to be as clear. Not to mention, this also impacts the way hormones are processed in the body. So this all ties back to liver health as well. Your liver is basically a conveyor belt in a way. And so any type of toxins that are going through the liver, your liver is basically cleaning house. But your liver is also responsible for balancing hormones in your body. Your liver is also responsible for digesting fats and proteins and carbohydrates. Your liver is responsible for doing a ton of things. And so you can clearly see that if most of the energy of your body is taken up because of toxicity and chemicals, and you're lacking methylation to do this properly, then therefore your liver is overwhelmed. And so that is why, even though you have changed your diet, even though you may be taking the right supplements, they're not getting inside the cell of where they actually need to get to. And this is the number one solution to your problem, to do this permanently. I know, because for years I suffered. I still do. Autoimmunity doesn't just disappear, but basically a ton of complex symptoms. I had muscle cramping, I had severe fatigue, I had skin rashes all over my body, severe eczema. I would react to almost any type of food I put in my body. I would react to things like sauerkraut and healthy foods. I would react to fruit. I would react to grains and beans and nuts and seeds. It got to a point where I was only able to tolerate 2 or 3 foods. If I knew this back then, I would have did this first. I had to try so many different types of cleanses, diets, colonics, all types of remedies and therapies, going on an alkaline diet of eating just green vegetables for almost 14 days. Stuff that is pretty hard to do. Whereas now we have the training, we have the information, and I have actually been certified through Dr. Pompa and his team in regard to healing cellular inflammation and fixing the cell at the cellular level. And it needs to be done in a step-by-step process. And so with that said, how that process would actually look is it needs to be done in 3 steps. So basically, step 1, this is where many people mess this up. And I've talked to a lot of clients that have gone to multiple practitioners. And the number one thing that happens is you may go to a functional practitioner. You may even go to a holistic practitioner. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to chase symptoms. Oh, you have a thyroid issue? Here's iodine, here's selenium, here's tyrosine, right? Oh, you have an adrenal issue? Okay, here's adaptogenic herbs, here's vitamin C, here's B vitamins, right? And they're chasing each of these organs individually instead of piecing them all together. So yes, in most cases, they're not using medications, but they're using supplements almost in place of the medications. And they're doing the same type of thing that they do in allopathic medicine, is we're chasing symptoms. If we get to the root of what's actually causing your issue, this is how you solve it for good. And most people, when they hear detox, they go, wow, you know what? I maybe tried that before and I actually felt worse. The reason is you never prepped your body. So you have to prep your body first. This happens in month 1. You need to be able to get in there and prep your pathways, your liver, your kidneys, your gut, right? You need to open everything up, because if you're constipated or your kidneys are not functioning or your liver's not functioning correctly, if you just start to release toxins, you're going to feel 10 times worse, because you're releasing a ton of stuff into your bloodstream that technically should not be there. And so this is why this type of program is completely different, because month 1 is focused all on prepping your body. In month 2, we are focused on detoxing from the actual body tissue itself. And that is where we're coming in with specific nutrients, not only healing your cell membrane, but we are actually coming in with specific binders, because that's the other part of the problem. You may take supplements to release toxins, but if you do not catch the toxins correctly, they will continue to recirculate around your body. You will continue to have a problem. And so in month 2, we're focused on the body. This is where we're actually pulling out mycotoxins, the toxins from candida and parasites and mold and Lyme. We're getting rid of heavy metals, aluminum and mercury and lead and things like that. And we're really cleaning house, because then what happens is in month 3, we're now going after the brain itself. Why this is an issue is because toxins will be stored away. In the case of when they get to the brain, if they're able to pass the blood-brain barrier, which heavy metals like mercury can do and have done, and that has been shown to be one of the leading causes of attention deficit disorders, of neurological disorders, of things like autism and stuff like that. The chemicals are literally destroying the brain tissue. Imagine if the liquid that your brain is sitting in is full of chemicals and toxins. It is very clear why you cannot think clearly. It is clear why you have severe anxiety. It is clear why there may be issues with the neurological system, because you may have toxins still in there. And this is why this becomes a completely different type of approach and something you may have never done before, because it was never done in this step-by-step way. And so basically, overall, this is a 3-month program. And we are coming in with the correct nutrients, because that is another part of this as well. It's not just throwing a ton of supplements at the problem. It's throwing the correct, we don't even call them supplements. They're called nutraceuticals, because it's a combination of vitamins, minerals, herbs, glandulars, RNA and DNA factors. It's not just a supplement. It's literally all of the factors we need in order to have full resolution, to support the organ systems as best as possible, to support the natural detox system within the body. And so in month 1, we will work on prepping the body. Month 2, we're coming in to actually start pulling toxins out. Month 3, we are then taking the toxins out of the actual brain tissue. More often than not, as people go through 3 months, they start to feel way, way better, because what happens is we've gotten in there, we've cleaned house at a very deep level, at a cellular level, and now as you make the dietary changes of eating grass-fed, eating more organic, changing the quality of your fats, which I will be able to help you with as well in regard to what types of food you should swap over, what type of foods to focus on, which recipes are going to help your cells heal as fast as possible. And when you combine all of these together, that is how you're going to be able to solve your problem, especially if you've been dealing with health issues for a while. It wasn't until I did a process like this where things really clicked for me, because there was a point where I couldn't consume almost anything without having a reaction. After I properly detoxed my body can handle a lot more things. It used to be at a point where if I smelled perfume or cologne or cleaning chemicals or new car smell, I would automatically get nauseous. My body tolerates a lot of stuff now. And it really comes down to this program, which is a true cellular detox. And if you have stayed thus far, and this is something that you feel can help you, there will be a link to my calendar below. Set up the best time and day that works for you, and then that way we will get on a call. We'll be able to discuss what your main health issues or challenges are at this time, what you've tried in the past, what things have worked, what things haven't worked, and try to fill in the gap of maybe why some of those things have not worked, and then from there determine, is this the correct program for you? And if it is, we can then discuss the details of that. With the program, I also include, so not only are you getting all 3 months of nutraceuticals, not only are you getting all 3 months of having a coach in your corner to guide you through the entire process, but you will also receive an actual urine inflammation test, which you can do in the comfort of your own home. You do not need to schedule a lab appointment. You do not need to go to a doctor's office. You will have this mailed directly to you. You will be able to see your inflammation levels of your cell membrane. So if you remember what we did before, that cell membrane, you're going to be able to literally see before your very own eyes how damaged this cell membrane is. And we also have a neurotoxicity assessment. And through that, Dr. Pompa has cultivated a very specific questionnaire that we will be able to go through and highlight where some of the possible problems may be coming from. Is it a heavy metal issue? Is it a mold and Lyme type issue? Is it an environmental toxin type issue? So chemicals in the environment, construction products, and things like that. We'll be able to pinpoint where some of the problem may actually be coming from. And that is what we would do throughout the entire 3 months. If that sounds like this program can help you, which I know it definitely can if you've been dealing with this for a while, click that link below, go to my calendar, set up a time and date that's going to work best for you, and I will see you on the call. With that said, I'll see you on the very next video. I look forward to speaking to you soon.